Ryan shut. Ryan shut.
Welcome back to a super duper special episode of Ryan Shut Up. His wife is very pregnant.
Super pregnant.
Make the normal backdrop. We're not doing male. You're already fucking up right out of the gate.
I thought I could choose whatever background I'd like.
I know, because you're never wrong. So,
Well, this episode it's true.
okay. Just a little taste of what I go through every day, folks, with Ryan here. I said we should do a special episode for Ryan for when he's gone, because he could disappear at any moment. I'd hate to have no last episode. And then Sean goes, well, it's Valentine's. When he finally leaves, it's supposed to be February 20th, whatever. It's Valentine's Day. It could be like, I love Ryan. And then Ryan goes, I love Lucy.
Yes, so?
Like Down syndrome levels. I love Lucy. And then he goes, wait, why is it, and then Ryan goes, is it Valentine's Day today? It's like 2 weeks from Valentine's Day. Even Sean, the biggest dud in the world, is like, woof. Then we start the show, and we got the mail behind us. That's not wrong. Are you hungry? Not since I ate that food. Oh, you ate? I was hungry before I ate that food. That's another one.
You misspelled Rivera. I think we're even.
Yep. So what we're going to do, if we can bear it, is go through Ryan's career with me. That's the only sort of common thread, because it's been a few companies now. And I guess it all started, so we're banking this because his wife is basically a fireman on a pole, and she could go down at any second now. So it's technically February 5th today, Wednesday. But I don't know when we're going to air this, but he could be gone tomorrow. Forever.
So true.
I love all you detective shit out there. You guys are so retarded. It's clearly a bit. It's paternity leave. I'm a genius because I'm a millennial. We're even smarter than Ryan. We know everything. We're never wrong. I hope this shows you that you're wrong about a lot of other shit. But anyway, I guess it all started with Compound Media, right, Ryan?
That's correct.
Now, let's go back even further. How did you know what Compound Media was?
Well, I was a fan of Opie and Anthony when I worked at my old job.
On the radio?
No, this was YouTube clips.
So at your old job, you'd play YouTube clips?
Yes, I worked with Tommy, a Korean man, and Louis, an Ecuadorian man. And so their humor was very like slapstick. It was like, oop, I dropped the rice. And so I have a very advanced sense of humor, Gavin. And I felt myself wanting for that sort of connection.
So how did you stumble across O&A on, because I'm the same way. I discovered them on YouTube.
Yes. Well, I was still at that moment, I liked stand-up comedy like for what it was. Like, I want to see the stand-up. I'm not interested in interviews or anything like that. But as I slowly began to become more interested in bloopers, behind-the-scenes stuff. Like, how are they funny? What are they like when they're not on stage? And Opie and Anthony was a great
Who were some comedians that you were into back then?
Bill Burr, Louis C.K., and then I didn't like Patrice O'Neal because I'd seen just his stand-up. I didn't like Jim Norton because I just saw his stand-up. I was like, they're okay. And then you see a side of these comedians that are, and then there's comedians like Jeff Ross, which everybody puts on a pedestal, like the Comedy Central viewers. And then when he's in studio, he's like not even close to the funniest guy there.
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt comes in and he's like just sucking their ass. And he's just like, you guys are awesome. He doesn't say anything funny ever.
Hi, this is Anthony Cumia.
And hello, I am Gavin McInnes.
Together, we're Compound Censored.
And we'd like you to subscribe to our network that has more fantastic content you could shake a stick at. Use this promo code for a one-time super offer.
Do it. It's uncensored and oh so entertaining.
Right.
And it was just bizarre to see that sort of.
Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of comedians that on stage you go, ugh. And then when they're riffing, like Rich Voss, it does not blow me away on stage. But he's so good at being the victim of everyone else's riffs.
Yeah.
And without getting mad and keeping it funny. He's really good. So, that's interesting. I got into O&A from the African helicopter stuff. and then learned about the comedians later. So you got in there with comedians, then you started listening to O&A on YouTube. And was Anthony fired from Sirius yet? What year is this?
So this is what's weird. I started listening. I was listening for maybe a month or two, and knowing that they have a show that's on Sirius, but I like wasn't interested in getting a Sirius. I don't even know how that would work. Do I get a boombox? Did I hook it up with Sirius? I had no car. So there's no way for me to listen to Sirius.
They did have, I think they were selling some stupid boombox for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but I probably couldn't afford it. I wasn't a subscription guy. I barely signed up to anything. And this would lead into the Compound Media thing. But so
wait, what year are we talking here?
2013 or 14, maybe.
Okay.
Something like that, I think. And so yeah, it was every day, Opie and Anthony, hours and hours and hours of it.
And you're preparing sushi at this point.
I'm cooking in the back of the kitchen, all the cooked food. So, like chicken fried rice, soups, salad,
Stuff.
fair, appetizers, entrees, and but a lot of knife work, a lot of fun stuff. It was great. There was a lot of things going on in my professional life back then too, like learning how to cook, working at different restaurants, and then bringing that back to the thing, because I was just a busboy at one point at this place. I was working at that place for like years.
What's it called?
Yuki, which means snow in Japanese. It's Korean-owned Japanese food.
And it's upstate?
Yeah. So it was in my hometown of Washingtonville, and I worked at the Dunkin' Donuts, and the guy came in, and I had tried sushi.
Okay, that's
once.
enough details for that.
But that's also interesting. I also think that's all that stuff's good. But yeah, so going back to the Opie and Anthony stuff, he got fired 2 months into me loving the show. The news came out that he got fired, and I was like, "Holy crap!" Like, not only is that show still going on, but there's like shit going on in it. That's very dramatic. When I heard that, I was like, "Holy shit!" And then he started Compound Media, and I didn't sign up for a while because I was like, "Well, I still have all this free Opie and Anthony stuff, and I don't really sign up to things. I don't really have the money to afford it." And it was honestly you did an interview with somebody. They used to release these best ofs on YouTube for free. So I would listen to those, but I wasn't totally sold on signing up until I had heard an interview you did, and you were saying like N and F and all these words that usually people like, hey, that, blah, 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 blah.
Wait, do you not say the N word anymore?
I could.
Say it.
No. I don't listen to... I have to do it on my own. It's like natural. It's like a boner.
But you can say...
Yeah, who can't?
But you can't say... Can you say retard?
Yeah.
Say it.
Retard.
Say...
I will eventually. That one's weird because I know people that watch the show that are black, and I think that I don't want to hurt their feelings. So it's a personal... I don't think there's anything wrong with saying the word, but personally, I think it would be gross. They would be like, oh, nice.
Okay. Love the
I don't know any that watch the show. But no, you would say these words, and honestly, that you have something about you that you're not trepidatious about it. And I had just never heard anybody be unapologetically vulgar.
So you got involved in the whole thing because of me, because I said, and now you're leaving and you won't say the word.
That's right. It comes uncircle. No, I'll say it, but not on this precious episode that we have here of love and nostalgia.
Okay, but retards and are fine.
No, it's just about Swen.
Okay.
Darn it.
What does Swen mean?
Swen. It's my friend in Amsterdam.
So then you sign up.
I do, yeah.
$7 a month.
It took me a while. At first, I would listen to a lot of the best ofs, and then shortly after I signed up, I was listening to, and then Pat's show came on, New York City Crime Report, and he's like a new guy. And the thing about him is he's very imitable.
Yeah.
He's not inimitable.
Do a Pat Dixon.
Yeah, so from the smallest room in New York City, gives you a show that gives you a reason to live or something.
Is that an affected accent? He's Southern, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's like, hey, yeah, here, see here, boy.
What is that? Jimmy Cagney or whatever?
James Cagney? Is that it? Yeah. I think it's James Cagney. So
sorry, I thought it was Jimmy Cagney, but it's James Cagney.
I don't know him like that. I mean, if you're on a first name and nickname basis, that's fine. But I don't know him like that. I'd much rather say the N-word than say James Cagney.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy.
So and then you start doing him. So would you would you take the bus? How would you get into the city from Washingtonville? It's what, an hour and a half?
I would take the train, and it was like 2 hours. There's some transfers going on, and I had no business going in the city. I'd been in the city a couple times to go with with my friends down there, but it was very
Well, you grew up in the Bronx, and then when you were like a young boy, your mom moved you up to your grandparents' house.
Yeah.
Upstate, 2 hours up, and then despite your baby years being there, you were sort of averse to the city.
Well, my mom would take me to the city pretty often because she worked at the World Trade Center, but I was too young to remember that. So I was like 4 or 5 or something.
Right. So as a teen, now what are we at now? Like 1920? No, you're probably in your mid
1920. Yep.
You're probably what? You're probably 30 at this point. No, 20.
At when it was 2013.
So when you were commuting to the city that you had no business going to, how old were you there?
I think I was over 30, maybe in my late 20s. What would it be? 2014.
10 years ago, 11 years ago.
And I'm 35, so 25, 26,
24, 25, yep.
around there. Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah, long time. And before that, I was working at this. I learned how to cook and do knife skills at this other Warwick Valley winery in the kitchen there, and it was fun working with a bunch of guys there that spoke English. It was very fun, but it was all to train. Sort of, it all culminated in me learning how to cook for the sushi joint again. But while I was there, I saw E-Rock, one of the producers from Opie and Anthony. So
how? Just at the restaurant?
just there, yeah. He likes to eat. We all.
I
know.
guess
It's
when
not a
you're that
secret.
fat, you're going to visit every single restaurant in all of New York State.
In so many ways.
When you're that
yes, it
fat,
was-
chefs are going to notice you.
So yeah, I
That's
did
the
notice
guy
it.
that pays our rent.
And I ran over and gave him a bag of these cinnamon donuts, these cinnamon cider donuts.
Which fat people love.
they're great. Well, I love them.
food gifts.
They're food gifts. So I ran over and I was like, E-Rock, I was just listening to Opie and Anthony today. And I'm
How did
like,
you
now
know
I'm
what he
seeing you.
looked like?
Oh, because they have them on the thumbnails.
I see. Okay.
At this point, I was very into Opie and Anthony. So it was, the timeline is the sushi restaurant, listening to Opie and Anthony. I took a break while they moved from Washingtonville to PA, Matamoros. And during that time, I worked at that winery. And so me and my friend were listening to Compound Media. He had a subscription, and he was listening to Legion of Skanks. That was his show. And we were both listening to Tax also. And I would listen to your show. I'm
But
not
you
sure
said
about
you
him.
signed up. You didn't sign up. You were using the other guy's membership.
At that time, I think we were listening to it in the car on his membership. But yeah, it was shortly after
Okay.
I
whatever.
listened to your best of. So somewhere in there. But we were listening to Compound Media, and then like after I did that, I saw E-Rock. I posted a picture of him, whatever. And then I did the impression of Pat, and he invited me in. And then so
Who did?
In
E-Rock?
a matter of months,
Who invited you in?
Pat.
Ah.
So in a matter of like months, we went from listening to Compound Media in the car, going to the winery, to me being on the site, and he was like, "What the fuck is going on?" It was weird.
Huh.
Yeah. And then I was back at Yuki.
And when you take the 2 hours, you do the show. The show's pretty late. You then take a train back home.
Yeah, I would usually stay there as long as I could. Like, so your show, I would go in to see your show sometimes.
That was in the mornings, right?
Yeah, so you were 10:30, I think.
Yeah.
So I'd go there early, catch your show. Then I would catch Anthony's show.
4.
And then, 4 o'clock. And then 7 o'clock, I believe, is... So I was there all day and then leaving late. And then so eventually I would, be paying... I spent about $7,000 just for commuting, eating food, and staying at hotels. And then I figured...
Staying at hostels.
Well, eventually I was like, what's the cheapest place? Because I can't keep affording this. I was working at one point while doing Compound Media, like 3 jobs too. So I was doing bartending on this boat bar in Newburgh, Gullies or something. And
Which is a black town.
oh yeah, very much. Then working at Yuki on the weekends. And then during the weekdays, I forgot what else I did.
You sucked
I sucked.
in an alleyway.
Yes.
Okay. So you were just spending hordes of cash.
Until I found the hostel.
I remember when I first started working with you, you had 12. Remember we used to joke about your 12K and credit card debt?
Yes.
And then our rich friend paid that off for you.
Yes. I call him an angel.
Wow. The interest you would have paid on that. But
Yeah.
who the fuck are you thinking you can stay at a hotel in New York City? What were they like?
Oh no, you know,
$250.
I think I would get cheap spots in maybe Brooklyn, and then I had friends that I could stay with sometimes. My friend Jesse P.S. of Pod Awful. I crashed with him in Brooklyn a couple times. But sometimes, you know, that's only if I missed the train back home. I had no problem with just going in and leaving late. But sometimes the last train is like not that late, and we would be staying at doing, you know, me and Pat would jam sometimes.
Well, I remember Pat was mad at me. He was like, "You stole Ryan from me."
I think that was one interaction. And I think he was happy for me, and he actually wasn't
No, I was
mad.
like, there's stealing and there's stealing. Like, Pat, I offered him a career with money. You don't have any money.
He wasn't mad at that.
So I'm not really scooping.
Yeah. He definitely wasn't mad.
If we
'Cause
both
I asked
had
him about
offered a
that.
check and they were around the same amount and then I made my check more, you may have an argument. But
Right.
you had nothing to offer, Pat.
No, he was happy about that. He was happy for me about that. And
Okay, so you're doing the shows. You're doing Asian Pat Dixon. You did Asian Me. I didn't know I was imitable.
right.
And then you started up working the soundboard as like an intern.
Yeah. It was like there was actually my first day there. I walk in, the first thing I see is when you open the door, there's the couch there, and Anthony's sitting the closest to me any human being could sit with also allowing a door to open. So I opened the door and I was like, oh. And then I pretended that it wasn't a big deal because I was really starstruck. I was like, that's fucking Anthony. And then I walked in and, you know, Keith there and everything. And Keith pulled me into a bit. He's like, you know, it's crazy. We're doing an Asian story today. You want to be an Asian? I was like, yeah, I'm already there. So he dressed me up in like a geisha outfit or whatever. And that was unprecedented for, I was watching Anthony's show. They didn't have like little bits where you come in with a guy dressed up to pitch in little bits. So this was kind of out of the ordinary. So I was like, whoa. And that bit was doing very good. And all the comments were very positive. And I believe that was the day that you were doing, like my first day there, it was Rat's last day, John Serino's first day, and you were doing your 24-hour marathon, or your 3-day marathon. So we all had to make the content YouTube friendly to some degree.
Was I on YouTube
It was
back
airing
then?
on YouTube.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was airing on YouTube. And so we had to make the content a little friendly, and people had to, it was still your show technically. You're still there, but other shows would come in and do their show, and then you would come back in.
Right.
And that was the first time I did the Crown Report. So it was a very unusual.
I was trying to break the world record, but I looked into it, and Guinness charges like $250 for a judge per hour or something, so that becomes cost prohibitive.
Right.
And but it's pretty easy to break that record if you're one person. There's some German who won, who had like people come in and dance around and stuff, and then a magician would come in. Well, now you're leaving, and that's just a TV network. Like, isn't ABC doing a 24-hour show right now?
Right.
So as far as one guy sitting at a desk talking, it's kind of a hard record to find.
So Twitch recently, this constantly being broken, it seems. 2024. another one at
1,000 days?
2016.
But is that one guy?
Which one, the top one?
Yeah, like it's 1,000 days. That clearly isn't one person sitting in front of a microphone. It doesn't really exist.
Let's see. Maybe she did. I mean, I
No
think they allow for sleep.
You know how long 1,000 days is?
I think they
They
allow
can't
for
allow
sleep.
for sleep. That's cheating.
Well,
I mean, I guess you could just be like this.
yeah. Let me ask ChatGPT.
I'd allow that. As long as I'm looking at you for 1,000 days.
Did-
That's 3 years.
She had to have slept, so I don't know why I'm looking this up.
Welcome to the
She hasn't slept in 1,000
Welcome to
days.
the 3-year show.
Yeah. So you're going for 3 days, I believe. And when I first met you, oh yeah, so the first interaction, I was just sitting on the couch, and you were like panting. You came out, and somebody else went back in to do their show, and you came out and you sat on the couch. You're like, "Are you here for my show?" And I was like, and I was nervous because I knew you, and I was like starstruck to some degree. I guess that's a gay word, but I was, and I was like, "Nope." And then you're like, "Okay." You looked at your watch and you're like, "I gotta go take a shit." You left and took a shit. That was the first interaction. And then I was bummed I couldn't stay there all night, but I called in later too. But it was exciting because this whole stream, I probably stayed up the whole night listening to this stream, and it was just kept going. So that was very exciting. Very interesting, network, and it allowed for things like that for what you did in Pat's show. So yeah, the first thing I did that impression on Twitter before all this, and Anthony retweeted it and said it was hilarious. And then Pat then invited me on there. Oh, and you know what else I did that's cringe? I called into Eastside Dave show. I was like, I'm Pat Dixon. He's like, oh, Pat Dixon's here. That's great. And then on Reddit, I was like, did anybody hear that amazing Pat Dixon impression? Be like, shut up, it's you. That's what somebody else commented. They knew.
Did whatever happened with Eastside Dave? Did they have a falling out?
They had a firing out.
What did he do wrong?
I think he just got fired. I think they were downsizing. They dropped Talib Starks. They dropped Eastside Dave. They kept Morning. I don't know.
Okay, so you're spending a fortune commuting. You're kind of like an intern. You get to work the soundboard or the TriCaster. How did that happen?
So I was learning how to.
But how?
John Serino was just like, I was asked to do recordings late, and this was too late for those guys. And they're like, dude, you could do it. Just shut down the thing when you're done, press record, and just hit these cameras. And then I got more involved. I was like, well, how do you change the green screen?
What was the late night show you were recording?
It was like Pat Dixon stuff, but after his show. Like he always wanted to just, he did a million
he was very
things.
ambitious.
He does a lot of, he did that Florida show where we broke down the set. We put a couch in there and we were characters and we were mic'd up, and he did a lot of format breaking stuff. He was very creative with that.
Yeah, I remember him like doing all this content and going, I'm not even asking for a raise and I'm doing 10 times the content. So they should be happy. I'm like, that's not how life works, dude. Like I could offer the NBA unlimited Gav time on the court, and they would. And I don't even want money.
Right.
I'll play. Whatever. If you're short a player, I'll fill in. And the NBA is like, no, thank you.
But he already worked for the NBA to be fair. Anyway, so yeah, we started doing that, and then also I asked my dad because I had the. He said, dude,
and he said, hello, who's this?
Is this wrong number? I said, no, it's me. He said, no, wrong number. I insist.
No, I know it's you. Wrong number.
Wrong man. Yeah. Wrong father. No, and so John Serino said, if you get a computer, I'll give you access to the Adobe Suite because, you could edit shit. And so I started making bumpers and graphics and whatever, just learning this for the first time.
And how, on YouTube, or how did you learn?
Yeah, YouTube was a lot of it. And then also I had, the good thing was I had an image of what I wanted to do, so you could just work backwards. How do I make this happen? Bam. Like I think you would need, for anybody who's interested in learning yourself, you just picture what you want to see and then work backwards from that. And so Keynote was like basic animation stuff. Then I learned After Effects, but I had access to all this great software.
All thanks to John Serino.
Yeah. And then
who got fired for asking for more money from a sponsor. They had they would rent out the studio, and one of the shows, it wasn't on Compound, it was just like some gay show. And they go, hey,
OutQ.
What was it called?
I think it's called OutQ.
And they go, hey, we're making good money here, but we've been doing this for a while now, we should probably charge more. And Keith was fucking furious.
Yeah.
And that was the end of them.
Yikes.
Which I thought was kind of harsh.
It was a little harsh. I agree. But so I asked my dad, I said, if I get a computer, I could start, producing graphics and stuff like that. So he got me one.
Oh, that's cool.
iMovie. I started out with iMovie, then went to Premiere and all that stuff.
Okay, so you're fucking around, you're learning all this shit by yourself.
But the staying in the city
how many, and you're going deep into debt. And how long was this phase?
I don't know. That's the worst. That's about the worst part of my memory recall is like timelines. So I don't know. Okay. Somewhere during that, I was kind of separating from my home life. I wasn't part of the band anymore. I wasn't. Everybody from the band was like working jobs, so we were sort of separated. We would see each other when we could, but this was my whole thing now. During the weeks, I would be down in the city. On the weekends, I'd be working.
Seems like a reckless gamble.
It was a little reckless, yeah, but. I felt that it was a big opportunity. It was a unique one. There wasn't exactly like an internship program, and I sort of found myself in a really great opportunity. And I genuinely liked the product, and I liked being a part of it. It was very exciting, and it was just kind of reality breaking because there were people on the screen that I would look to for entertainment, and then there were sort of collaborators now.
It's very punk.
It's a little punk, sure. I took
it's
a
punk
chance.
in that the people on stage are attainable,
right?
And you can talk to them, and they are interested in helping you get on stage.
Yeah, they were great for that.
But
And
then, so then I remember I got an offer from CRTV.
oh wait, before that, real quick.
Okay.
So I remember one time I was at Yuki at Walmart just buying some toiletries or whatever, and you asked me if I could cover for you tomorrow, like the day after, because you were going down to do the Milo thing, and that was the first Asian Gavin McInnes show, and I hosted the whole thing. I had Brittany Venti on, I had Jesse on, a couple other people. I tried to pack it full of stuff. In one night, I tried to like write, perform a good show. And my boss was cool enough to say I could get out. He knew it meant a lot to me. I was like, you know that show I always watch? Every time I have my earphones in, I'm like, I'm listening to that. And can I go in? And so he let me get the day off, and then I went and did that show. And then I did that again, and so that was between. And then I was working also at the Hostel. That saved me a lot of money.
Oh, but that was a whole. So you worked at that hostel,
Right.
You got to sleep for free because you would work there,
Right.
And then
Get paid also.
You got in some dumb shit with the owner, where
Not the owner. It was a tenant there. She dragged me into this business of hers, getting fur from Ukraine and bringing it here and selling it at a premium. And I worked for her and brought her out to, Broome Street, where they have that big whatever. I would go, I picked her, she let me have
fashion
a car.
district in Soho, right?
Yeah, I think that's so.
Okay.
And so I would pick her up from the airport to get these big yields of fur, and then we would set up her little shop in the flea market there. And a couple of months of that went by. She said, I'll just give you this car. This was around the time of Trump's inauguration. And so you were Deplorable. I had a ticket to Deplorable. And so I took that car down there and had a bunch of problems. I had to get it serviced. Like, I think I had to get something pretty like $600 worth repair on this car in DC in order to drive it back. So that car she wound up revoking, and she was like, actually, I changed my mind. We never agreed to anything. We don't have a contract. And she just took her car back. I was very upset about that.
That was a whole controversy, though. She was getting the police involved. She was saying you stole it.
No, I thought I got the IRS on her. I thought that was the right thing to do because she wasn't paying taxes for any of this stuff.
You ratted her out to the IRS.
I didn't know what I was doing. I felt very helpless at the time.
So you ratted her out to the IRS.
Yeah.
Because she wanted her car back.
Dude, this chick was evil. She was a woman, but she was a Swedish woman, and she would make eye contact with you after telling you bad news and just relish in what she would do this. Like, look at you in the eyes and be like, so yeah, you're not getting the car. And she'd look for a reaction, be like, are you going to cry? And I'd be like, no. She
I
was
am
like,
gonna report
she
you
was
to
like
the IRS.
evil. She was like a really evil chick. Anywho, so that happened. But working at the hostel was interesting. I could sleep there. I could get paid, but I was working 16-hour shifts. So that's when Adderall came into play. And I was also red pilling a lot of the people that live there. And I would
Well,
go.
they don't live there. They're staying there on their travels.
They were there. No. There were tenants there that had like a deal where they would pay $16 or $12 to live in an 8-person bunk bed room. And they would live there. And here's the most messed up part. I had to just like be callous to this fact, but they get kicked out around all the big holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas because they raise the rent to like $90.
So it's
they would just
$16
go
a night maximum.
12,
times
sometimes 12.
30. So it's like $500 a month. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But you don't get a kitchen, right?
You have access to the lounge kitchen. But if you're eating ramen noodles and such.
Is there a shower?
Yeah. There's 2 or 3 community showers.
And are you showering with
of
other people?
ringworm. No.
Okay.
And so that would be a problem. It's like a whole picture, like a house of like 100 people trying to like living like a big family that don't necessarily like each other.
That sounds like hell.
I got my bike stolen. I got my knife stolen. Yeah.
How'd you get your bike stolen? Did you not lock it?
I put it in the lounge, but conveniently there was no recording. Oh, I probably put it outside of the view of the camera. Like there's this wall where you put your bikes, and if you're lucky, it's in the view of the camera. If you have to put it in the back, it's
But
not.
why wouldn't you lock it?
Maybe I did and it was cut or something. I'm pretty sure I would be a guy that locks his bike.
I'm pretty sure I would be a guy that locks his bike.
Because this was after I got my knife stolen.
Okay, so
This was in Union City, New Jersey.
I got an offer to leave and it was like 10 times what I was making at Compound, so doi.
Right.
And I was off to CRTV, and then I had David Cast. I don't know why David Cast was my right-hand guy.
He was there in Compound, too. I remember seeing him at Compound.
I know, but why did he go ahead of you?
Because we weren't working together like that, really. It was you and David Cass for as long as I could remember.
Oh, so David Cast must have been an intern, and he must have been there every single morning.
Yes.
And
he was
then
like your producer, sidekick guy.
I don't know when he learned, though. That's for the David Cast show.
When did he learn?
And then, so I decided to build a studio in my attic, right, for CRTV. And then we debuted that show. And then I remember he got scooped by Laura Ingraham.
Oh.
Did you not know that?
I didn't know who specifically he got. I just heard Fox News.
Yeah. Well, he's got relatives at Fox News, so it was inevitable. And then I needed a new guy, and that became you.
That's right. Yeah, you said this could be a temporary thing. I just need a producer until I find a permanent one. And I was like, oh, okay.
So
And
what year would that be now? Probably
2016. This is after Trump, during Trump, right? Yeah, during Trump.
Yeah.
2018. Yeah, I think it was August of 2018, I think was my first day. And so I was doing remote work for you, editing these pre-records while I was in California with my dad. And I was like, I got a new job. I crashed this drone. He told me I'd have to pay for it. It was awesome.
So you just left.
Yeah, I just left. And then only until like the last year did he say, you don't have to worry about payback your drone. This whole time he's been like...
7 years later.
Yeah, literally. And so, it was August. I was out in California.
You're finally free
Yeah.
from the fucking drone.
Finally. But yeah, I remember he had shitty internet and I had to Ricky at CRTV, I had to send files and have them a certain way and have them, the Excel spreadsheet, all the information. And I'm just waiting there for shit to upload and download and edit and export. And it was nightmarish. I was like, and I had to go to a Starbucks for good internet. But so that was a fun little, holy shit, I have a new job. Holy shit, I'm fucking it up immediately. And then that would, predate the fuck ups to come.
Yeah, that was rough. I remember you would sleep. You'd be sleeping. You wouldn't answer your phone. And I would have I would be away and I'd have to send neighbors to come and bang on your door. But that didn't work. You didn't even hear the doorbell.
Yeah.
And then you started dating a particularly dangerous lady.
Yes.
That was very, very bad.
Perhaps it was the chemistry of two. Maybe it was, so it all was to blame.
What? What's the chemistry of two?
Like her and I, it takes two to tango.
Yeah, that was very rough. We won't dwell on that, but that was like being a heroin addict, really, or maybe a crack addict.
There wasn't drugs, but it had a very druggy feel.
It was like you're addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
And then
that's really skipping a lot because we
are?
Yeah, we had there was West Fest. There was we went down to DC with Milo.
Well, that's all on
Roger Stone
CRTV. You can all see that. That's well documented. We moved the studio to a real studio, very tiny place.
Did we skip over the firing from Blaze at post merger?
No, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
So then someone, Antifa, in October of 2018 is when I became a pariah. People are like, what happened to you? When did you become a Nazi? No, someone flicked a switch. They made a decision. And it was the night that I killed you as Otoya Yamaguchi. And we were very popular before then. No problem. I'd done a talk at that club before. Neither of us were considered controversial. I was on CRTV. We had very normal guests, very Daily Wire type stuff. And then the midterms were coming up. Someone decided I had to be a pariah that day. So they said, hey, Antifa, they hired a bunch of people to make me a bad man. The talk was vandalized, the venue destroyed. That was the night that Max and John were arrested, and that's how they got 4 years in prison. And it was all one night, that night. So you can't talk about how I changed when it happened literally in one day. It was a decision made. And I think there's Mark Peterson's photo. I think the left should be embarrassed that they're that malleable. Like someone can flick a switch and on one day, a person goes from hipster to Hitler. And then the crazy part is everyone ignores that and just talks about this slow progression that happens, like Hitler was rejected from art school or he's a failed comedian, blah, blah, blah. So we became monsters that day. And it wasn't long after that, I got, banned from everything, death threats, house vandalized, all that stuff, children ostracized at
Vic
school.
Berger videos.
Yep, that kind of stuff. And then Antifa started harassing everyone at Blaze, at CRTV. And they found a black woman and they sent her a montage of me saying the N-word. And she was too stupid to ask for context. And the owner of CRTV was traumatized by being sued by, I saw a putty tat, Mark Stein. So he was like, I don't want any lawsuits. If this black woman's mad, let's get rid of him. And so they got rid of us. Right, the day that they merged to Blaze.
Yeah, and we were trying to move to. You were really excited about moving to Texas. We're like, we have a sound stage.
We were looking into like Dallas real estate.
Yeah, because they had a CRTV office near the Flatiron District, in the Flatiron District, and we would work there with that team. It was mostly a green screen sort of setup, and so after that, one day we're sitting at a bar, and you're like, "This is exciting." I mean, like we're gonna ride horses and shit. We're gonna have those hats. And I was like, I can't wait. Let's go. And then, like the day or like that week is.
It was December. Boom, fired.
Boom.
And then, so we're still in my attic then. Mm-hmm. And then we were like, all right, well, I guess we're done. Yeah. And Alex Jones, I met a fancy guy who said, you can't do this. I'll help you invest. And I was like, invest in what? And then Alex Jones goes, if anyone shows any interest, say yes. Let's fucking get going. You're the bionic man. Alex offered me a job, Alex Jones, for $1 million a year.
Wow.
But I don't think it was real.
We'll give you $1 million a year, Gavin. Easy. All right, next break. It said he just pivots.
It was literally like that.
Right. He pivots too quick for you to think that. Yeah, that's
I'm
real.
like, that's not exactly a contract.
We'll give you $1 million. All right, let's go. Second break.
And then we were done. And
Homeless
then,
Gavin, we were filming Homeless Gavin. You were still keeping me on the payroll, which is super generous, but we weren't doing much besides sort of banking these.
Yeah, then we got I guess we can be honest now. We got a shitty studio that was just your living room.
Yeah.
And
I have footage of that too that I was like, I wonder one day if this will be okay to air. But I have like footage of the room in the apartment and everything.
Well, we rented your living room off of you.
Right.
You had a 1-bedroom, and that was your entire living room. So the zone was your entire house. And you see that, wait, go back a bit. Mm-hmm. You see that corner? That was, it's on our wall now. That was his door to leave. So we'd pick that up and put it over the door.
Right. It was a big, never mind. In like Indiana Jones, you'd have like a boulder you could move or something.
Yeah. And,
wait, is this the...
you
can do it.
Why you gonna vex me so? Coof. Here, that leg.
I wonder if that was that clip where we do the reggaeton. Everybody loves that clip.
That was a good clip.
32.
That was a kitchen where you thought you saw that you had less sugar than before, so you assumed it was being eaten by roaches.
What would you assume?
And they were shitting it out somehow, and so you put your sugar in a Ziploc bag in the fridge to stop the roaches. Even though you'd never seen a roach in that apartment ever.
I don't think I had, no. Who needs to see it when you could see the evidence of it?
But wouldn't there be tons of roach shit or whatever that is?
I don't know what roach shit looks like. I don't know if I had seen it. Maybe I didn't.
So they would eat it and then leave and just shit it somewhere, and your sugar was just going down.
That's true. Shit in my sugar. But there was a video too where we did, you were testing my water knowledge.
And that was freespeech.tv. So we launched freespeech.tv from there. Whole new company, new everything. Mm-hmm. We got sued by the people who own the copyright Free Speech TV, which is this useless. And you know what's fucking crazy right now? I'll never figure this out. If you look up freespeech.tv, it bounces to some random loser like internet. I mean, that's his kitchen. That's next to the studio. It's all coming out now. There's a moral here, though, a business moral.
It goes to veto.com. If you type in freespeech.tv, freespeech.tv. It goes to veto.tv. Who the fuck?
And look how many followers he has, 5,000.
And you click the link and conveniently it takes you right back to where you clicked it.
Yeah, thanks. And wait, go back to that. So it's a Twitter account, and he's right wing.
Yeah. But before, you know what it was?
That's not the
freespeech.net.
Dude, is that the Chicago guy?
Who?
The nightmare sales guy we had.
No, his name wasn't Vito. It was Vince.
Oh.
I know
So
a Vito
who the
from
fuck is
Chicago.
Vito?
Imagine it's my friend
And why isn't
Vito.
he getting sued? See, this is very weird. I remember when they were trying to sue us too, they tried to lay a trap where they were like, oh, please do it. They were trying to goad us into a lawsuit because they had money. Just like the Proud Boys are being sued by like the Washington lawyers. Wait, I'll have the actual name here.
I'll have you know.
It is, the Proud Boys were sued by Washington Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights and Urban Affairs. But actually, it was this white shoe firm called Paul Weiss, spelled with a W, Paul Weiss. And they were funding it all. So I think this weird loser free speech TV show, which if you look on YouTube, it gets like 180 views. They were obviously getting secret funding to choke us, where they could say, you made all this money off us, we want it back. So a lot of the time when you're a pariah, when you're an evil MAGA person and you get sued by what looks like a total loser, don't just laugh at them and go, yeah, whatever, bitch, do your worst. I can see that you're a yoga instructor. That yoga instructor's got big money. Like Ezra Levant, he's constantly getting sued by like some kindergarten teacher who seems to have 500 grand to take him back to court. That's because in Ezra's case, it's Soros. In our case, it's the fucking government.
I have a video here that would be previously unchill to ever air or show. It's the
Me chick?
It's yes. Oh, you know it. Yes.
Yeah, show it. I don't care.
I think we've shown it before.
She was wearing short shorts. What did she think was going to happen?
That's a good point. Outside of court, within, I don't know if that counts.
What clip are you? You can't tease a clip and then not show it.
I'm showing.
Oh, okay.
This is the view once you enter.
Oh, that's the secret behind the
tone.
scenes.
Yep. I got a PlayStation around the first time we set up the thing, and I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I was like, this is the best thing ever.
So that's where Ryan would sit.
I need to really show that, but there's that. There's that. Angled up at the ceiling there. Oh, this was because we were about to move the studio, so I guess I was looking at how
You're showing
things are.
yourself where everything is plugged in.
Right. And that's really dumb. Like to think that I would need help with plugging that in.
Well, this is clearly the power source. There's nowhere else it could go.
I know. I've learned more since moving from this studio. That was a small studio with a smaller TriCaster to a 5-set sort of studio that we're in now with more inputs, outputs, speakers, monitors.
Well, yeah, and the moral of the story is if you want to open a chain of cupcake shops, sell the cupcakes from your house until they're flying off the shelves. Puerto Ricans especially, I've noticed, they're like, yeah, I'm going to have a Sprinter van where I can cut hair if there's another COVID. And it's going to be 150 grand to convert a Sprinter van into a portable barber shop. And I'm like, why don't you just go door to door cutting hair?
Yeah.
And see how you do.
Cut the cost, you Rican.
And then they always have merch. They have badges, they have stickers, they have T-shirts. Hey, it's the portable barber shop that doesn't even exist yet.
It's the portable barber shop.
So then we get enough subscribers and enough money to move here.
Yep.
Here into the South Bronx, where we have a huge studio and money in the bank.
Money in the bank, bank.
And you're working full time, getting paid a reasonable salary.
Yes.
And we're getting on each other's nerves.
Yes.
And you decide to quit and go with Sam Hyde.
Oh, that's a big skip over of it. Yes.
Well, what am I? I'm not really missing anything.
I forgot. I didn't hear what you said exactly. I was agreeing with it, but I got angry at you and left.
What?
I thought you said, we got angry and then I left.
Well, yeah, basically.
I don't think that's true.
Well, whatever you want to tell yourself.
I don't think that's true at all, really. Because if you had moved to South Carolina, even if you say, it would be a big decision if you said, I'm going to move to South Carolina today. I'd be like, okay, well, now that changes things a little bit.
Well, yeah, my son, my middle child, he had a baseball team when he was 7, and I cannot recommend this enough, folks, because that baseball team stuck with him through thick and thin, the parents respected that and didn't try to ostracize him. So he goes snowboarding with these guys now, 10 years later. So I'm not shattering that crew, especially when he has one more year of high school. But after that, we're definitely going to be moving down. And the pool that I'm building, it's an overground pool, by the way. I just learned today that the municipal people who, allow you to build a deck, have all been fired once a year for the past 5 years. This competence crisis is way up to the suburbs, and it is South African. So anyway, I don't think I've missed anything, have I, in the chronology here?
Let me see. Well, this is us saying bye to the studio. Oh my gosh, my room this is before pre-wife. This is what a room would look like.
So that's the studio. That's where we shot the show. There's your gross kitchen.
And we shot
where
the shit.
The roaches eat your sugar.
That's the name for the episode.
That was
I hate that.
Flooding bathroom. Those had an issue with the sink.
It did, yes.
And then, of course, the zone.
Dun, 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 dun.
Beautiful.
Guitar. I mean, that's an artist's room right there. What an artsy little man.
What an artsy little man. Wait, go back. Go back. What were those? What's that on the right? Just like random pictures?
Yeah, I like that. I still have them right here, actually.
So where'd you get them?
From this magazine.
So you had a magazine, just like what a 13-year-old does. And you're like, ooh, that's the cosmos. That's an iceberg. So you would cut that out and just like thumbtack it to the wall.
Sorry, that was upside down.
As the sides wrinkled.
No. Where do you see side wrinkling?
Well, go back to the picture.
Okay, that one was improperly done. The rest are svelte.
How is it improperly done?
I must have ran out of push pins.
No, you only have one
That
push
was
pin
not
in
my
any.
fault. No.
All of those have one push pin. You can see it in the middle.
They have one on the bottom, one on the top.
Okay,
So that was the page's fault. If I did it properly, which all the other ones worked, that's that one's fault for curling.
See, never wrong.
Thank
Never
you.
wrong.
And then I got some Funko Pops over here.
Yep, Funko Pops. Love it. Love it.
Hats, Mr. Potato Head, because the Mrs. Potato Head was coming out. And I was like, oh boy.
I'm already getting annoyed, ironically. Why do you have clouds shooting in the background?
Clouds shooting in the background. I don't know.
You don't know why you put clouds behind me.
Oh, because it's like, nostalgia. Today we remember each other. We live.
So
we
you
laugh.
looked for a bunch of jobs. You decided you want to get out of New York. I threatened to fire you many times. You looked into a plan B, and then while you're looking for plan Bs, you discover Sam Hyde is interested, and you decide to move to Rhode Island.
I'd known that Sam was looking for somebody.
And Sam Hyde wants to do a show like this.
It won't be like this, actually. I mean, in that there is a man in a microphone. But other than that, the tone is unlike, it's unlike a lot of stuff. It'll be apolitical, essentially.
And you're going to be not a presence there. You're not going to be doing face swaps or imitations.
That's correct. My role is just as a producer. Now,
like John Serino was.
Right, but if there are some, a need for an extra or something like that, or I was in the car jitsu video, but that's, I was just one of the fighters. So I actually wrestled the guy in the car. And I had agreed to that. And
Did you try?
Oh yeah, I won the first one. I don't want to spoil anything because it's a real competition.
Oh, it hasn't aired yet.
I'm a winner and a loser.
It hasn't aired yet?
No,
Okay.
it was just filmed recently.
So you've been looking around Rhode Island and you found a home.
This is true.
And the interesting thing about a homeschooled kid is everyone, when they're looking for places, they look at schools.
Right.
But you could give a fuck.
About a school district, right? And
But also, you don't want to be around like shitty schools because it's a shitty neighborhood.
Right. No, we're very blessed. We prayed. We got exactly what we prayed for, and it was a nice area that we would feel safe at if I was at work and she could walk the kids around the neighborhood. And and in New York City too, like imagining another kid in the apartment that we're in is impossible. So then we're looking at, well, how do we get a 3-bedroom apartment? Well, you'd have to live in hell, and it's like fudge. Would you be able to go to a park? What park?
You'd have to live
you
in
play
Mount
basketball,
Vernon
kid,
or New Rochelle. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just that, and then you know all the other stuff. But hard decision, of course, but I haven't even factored myself into that. Part of being a dad is like literally it feels better to go to suffer. Because you know that you're at least trying your hardest, or you're definitely not deluding yourself into putting yourself first. So the more suffering that you get, the more that you could be sure that you're aligned to the wants and needs of your family. And so, I haven't really had much time to process like, how does it feel to leave my band behind, be farther away from my family, all my friends, my church?
The concept of self is for fags.
Right. And so I think this is going to be a great place for them to grow up, and a great Catholic community, and homeschooling pods and things. There's just plenty for them specifically to look forward to. And also, a house is great,
And what if Sam fires you, or the show dies and they don't need you anymore?
Well, then, so I had looked at what my qualifications are it would be senior technical director with proficiency in Adobe Suite and stuff. And just one of those, the weird thing is like just one of those jobs pays enough, like 6-figure jobs. Not just editing,
but in Rhode Island.
Well, a lot of this you could also do remotely too. But no, you can commute. And Boston's right there. They need people. Any town or city or state has production. There's always production happening, whether it's news or radio or private.
So, would you recommend someone taking this in like going to tech college and learning all this?
I think not. I think you could bypass that. If you just learn, it's the 80-20 rule, where 20% you'll do 80% of the time. So it's a little more than 80, but you get familiar with the inputs, how to configure them, and then how to show them and craft what kind of show you want to make. And but yeah, so I don't really fear anything like that. Looking at the skills, the odd thing about this job is finding out if in a different field where one job ends and where the other one begins. So it's like technical director, but yes, there's an editing aspect to it. Then there's the uploading aspect. Then there's the maintenance of the actual studio, acquiring, updating, maintaining the equipment. And so it's like most of the jobs, you're going to just have to pick one. They're not going to be, you can't be the everyman, which I love being, because this whole studio, you could work over here. I told Sean the positions, position 1, then there's like this position, there's this position here, then there's this position here, and then there's this position. So there's a lot of positions. And it's an addicting thing, because you get to, instead of being in front of the camera doing Pat Dixon impressions and stuff, which I love doing and stuff, it's a very objective thing. I cut to this camera, wide shot, 2, 1, preview 6, and fade. Things like that. It's a really great hands-on thing to deliver a show. Okay,
and you've been training Sean for a while now. Do you think he's got what it takes?
Yes.
He definitely got what it takes when he dresses like a grunge babysitter. He's definitely nailed that.
The grunge babysitter.
All right, well, I guess we've wrapped it up. It's been 10 years.
Yes. It's been a great and thank you for, I never thought that I would have a salaried job doing anything. I didn't, I always pictured I'd have a kid in a house, but I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get there. And you are the reason that I got there. You're the reason I got my kids. And thank you.
Well, thank you. You've been an integral part. Whoa. I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to cover this. So you wouldn't have had kids without me. You would have been sterilized?
Yes. Now, how do I...
You would have had your chopped off?
I had an
with
appointment.
With a meat cleaver, did you say?
Yeah, it was an appointment for, it was a very professional sort of thing. It's not
so I heard they tie a rope around the balls and
then they get
really, really tight.
Then they get
until
sick.
It goes dark black.
Right.
And then they just freeze it and then chip it off with a hammer.
You can chip it off with a hammer. You can chip it off with a stenoscopy. I forget the name of it, but it's a tool.
I sense infection.
There was an infection there. But yeah, so basically I wouldn't have met my wife if it wasn't for you and the show.
Well, you wouldn't have met that crazy bitch either.
That's true. But after that happened, and God bless her, and I hope she's doing well. But I prayed to God. I was like, I want, just like a woman that likes me for me, darn it, and wants to start a family. Yeah.
And you met a woman.
I really
let's not beat around the bush. She weighs 380 pounds. Last I heard,
380 pounds of love.
Her goal was to get below 400, and she did.
She did.
And then she kept going. $399, $398, and now she's down to $380.
Yeah.
She looks
Oh,
great.
no.
She
I
uses
didn't
her
tell you?
rascal, I think, a third of the time now.
372.
372. Let's show that lingerie pic that she sent where she's making lingerie for plus size people. It's called Hippo Lace.
No, I don't want to say the company. I'll have to blank.
I just said it. Hippo Lace is out.
Okay.
And what they do is they use massive fish nets that they get from fishermen in the East Coast.
Right.
And then they just cut holes in it and throw it on fat
I
bitches.
wouldn't want to put it that way.
Well, she asked me to write some of the copy for her brochure and rejected it all, which hurt.
Here she is. And I have to.
You don't show her much. Is this nude?
Well, I stay within my own race, so obviously she's Asian.
Yeah. Now, when she sits on this is like that teacher who used to sit on you when you were bad.
That is the same. That's the same woman.
You guys got married.
That's
Dude,
where
I
it
read
started.
recently about a kid, I think, who died.
Oh.
Who was being punished by being sat on.
Oh boy.
So, what your teachers used to do ain't no game.
Lewis and Clark School, Bronx. This is the prison that I went to. I actually liked it. It was fun. There was a kid there who was like so slow that he couldn't really express himself, but we were in the gymnasium for gym class. And I guess he was watching a movie in his class, so he goes, Space Jam. And that's the VHS shell case opening in the movie Space Jam.
But
So I
you
was like,
open a
did
VHS.
you see Space Jam
you open
today?
VHS tapes like this.
He does it like this.
It's not a Bible.
Space Jam. The song I Believe I Can Fly it's kind of brutalist, right?
Well, that's a fascinating picture. I'm glad you brought that up. We always wondered what a shitty building looks like.
It's a nice place.
So you're a very attractive, non-obese lady friend. So you would get girls DMing you on Twitter?
And I would just ignore them because Instagram.
Instagram.
I would ignore them because I'm like, hey, you don't know the real me. You're just a star person.
Star fucker,
effort.
I think is the word.
But she was
Star
like, well, I've been watching your guitar lives. You're really good at guitar. And I said, well, hello. It's like so at first she was like, hey, I know you're from the show. Just if you're ever around New York City, I can catch it. You want to catch a drink? And I was like, I don't drink.
And she was in New York City at the time?
Well, I think I did drink at the time. Yeah. And she would hang out at her apartment there at the Lower East Side, Cat's Deli. All your old haunts. That's around that. Mercury Lounge was literally right down the street.
Yeah.
And it was just. There was another thing too there too. But yeah, anyway. So some of this
Whoa,
is
what'd you just skip over?
nothing. Okay.
We got to know.
Whoa. I think we've taken too much time, Gav. We should probably get back to the real video.
So, yeah, I used to live across on 124 Ludlow across from Katz's. So you guys are hanging out there.
Yes.
And then what made you decide to get married?
Well, she brought me essentially. So I prayed for a good wife and a good woman.
This is
and God
before
gave it to
this
me.
studio. This is back when we were still in your apartment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it turns out so that prayer was answered for real. And
You weren't that religious back then, Ryan.
but I was praying. No, you know what made me religious?
What?
Getting in all the trouble with the one before. I was like,
She drove you
I
to
literally,
Jesus.
I was always faithful, but never at that like at I'm at your mercy, please help me.
Faithful?
Yeah,
You cheated on every girlfriend you ever had.
Not that faithful. And by the way, in the eyes of the Catholic Church, if you're not married, it's not cheating. It's just breaking a promise, lying, and fornicating.
Okay, but you weren't really Catholic. This whole
No, I
Catholic
wasn't
thing
Catholic.
is new.
I wasn't Catholic. I wasn't a real Christian, I would say. I just like, I know I believe in Jesus and I know I will go to heaven, I hope.
I
But
know I will
that's
go to
just-
heaven, I hope.
Yes. No, I will go to
Okay,
heaven.
that
I
sounds like you got a lot of confidence. In
right.
going to heaven.
But she, being a Catholic, when we decided we wanted to go back to church, we have to, like, it's a sin for her not to go. And so I prayed to God for a woman, and that woman brought me closer to Christ.
Oh, so
through the
she
church.
got you into the Catholic Church?
Yes.
Was she going to church every Sunday?
No, but it was like this. I said we should go to church. She agreed, and so it's almost like we both ushered ourselves forward.
Were
into
you?
the church.
But you weren't going to church even up to when you got married.
No, we were. So I couldn't receive or anything like that. But yeah, I said we should start going to church.
Because you guys had sex before marriage.
That's true.
And that's something you will both rot in hell forever for.
No,
And I'll be happy.
You give her. Wait. Whoa.
Yeah.
I think we received
for
absolution.
the sins
for
that you guys did, I think an ideal punishment would be in a lake of fire where your threshold of pain never rises and you're therefore infinity.
Whoa. Fire is a creation of God, so fire cannot be in hell.
Oh,
That's just sort of an
that was the only
idea.
part I didn't want to. That's the only thing that's holding me back from going was the crippling burns.
Right.
But if it's just like a dungeon,
It's a creation of God, so it can't exist if all things separated from God are
it's
there.
sounding better and better. So you marry, you meet her. You guys start going to church. You get married, and then your first daughter comes like within months, right? Boom.
Yeah. We boom it quick. I asked her to get off of birth control. Like when we started seriously dating, I was like, just to make sure that you're not like under any hormonal influence. And then during that, I got totally jacked during her pregnancy.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yep. And now I'm medium jacked.
So, and the reason you decided you want to have kids and get married is because of me.
Well, yeah. I mean, because that is the methodology of the show. It's the two.
And no one
like,
ever talks about that.
there's
It's
no-
so weird. It's always white nationalism and never the baby show.
Well, I would say when you are told by somebody whom you respect their opinion, and they usually offer great insight for all manner of things. When they say that the height of your manhood is to have a family and procreate, then you know that it's the right thing. But there was definitely things dancing around before working for you where it's like, well, that's kind of like, that'll be like kind of a hang up. I always wanted kids, but like, I was like, yeah, when I'm like 50, literally. When I was like 20, I was like, when I'm 50, I'll have kids.
Well,
and
it's
settle
also
down.
based on, it's not even based on this big spiritual quest as far as my perspective goes. I see people who didn't, and I see how much they regret it and how miserable they are. And I go, well, I don't want that misery, especially females, especially like 38-year-old females, where they're like, well, I'm trying to get my eggs frozen. And I'm like, you fucked up. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I don't want others to suffer that fate. It's very simple. It's like if everyone who got their fucking driver's license regretted it because they crashed and lost their loved ones, I go, let's take public transit. I'm seeing a pattern here. Anyway, so you have the first girl, then you have that little funny guy,
Yes.
and I'm the godfather to the first girl,
Right.
And then and now you got another girl on the way.
Boy.
Boy.
Yes.
And have you decided a name yet?
Nope.
And are you going to stop now?
No.
How many of these little munchkins are you going to make?
As many as can be.
And how would you say having kids has changed you? What has it done to Ryan Katsu Rivera?
Well, I think it is like it immediately launches your selflessness like through the roof, you know. You should be selfless. And it's encouraging too because if you're just alone as a guy, even with a woman, you have no goals together really. What? Like we're going to go on a vacation, we're going to have a nice time and come back, look at the pictures. Like it's unfulfilling. And so it is the ultimate fulfillment because something that you love more than you exists in the world. And it's unconditional and it's you're participating with God in creating life. And so you just put yourself aside. The more you put yourself aside in this world, the happier you'll be and more content you'll be.
You know, one way I always explain it is say your daughter needed a heart transplant and you're the only heart that was compatible with her.
Oh, yeah.
And if you could be guaranteed that this isn't going to happen again, this is a one-time thing, you'd be fucking stoked.
Yeah.
You'd be like, yes, I got to save my daughter by dying.
Right.
Fuck, this is the best news ever. Boy, am I happy.
The thing-
and then in the operating room, you'd be like, bye-bye.
The thing that complicates it is that there's other children now and they would be fatherless. So it actually does, it gets to be a harder.
Still, I get to save her life.
That's true. I mean, yeah, but it is tough. It's like Charlie would be like, if he could speak, he'd be like, so that's it? You're you might resent her.
Well, he'd never remember you.
Hope you're enjoying your life there, Daff.
And she wouldn't
Our
remember
dad's
you
dead.
either.
Well, at this part, my heart's too big. Wouldn't it be too big for her?
Well, yes, it's clearly hypothetical.
Okay.
I hope she doesn't need a brain transplant.
Mine would be too small. So should we get back to the ep?
Okay, so should we get back to the app? That's your life, right? And we've talked about that. Your kids, you got 3 kids, you're going to have tons more. It's a big part of your future. Okay, so let's get back to the main story.
Yeah. Oh, right. Oh. The reason that I got there, you're the reason I got my kids. And thank you.
Well, thank you. You've been an integral part of the brand that defines not just this show, but my identity. And
Sorry about that, by the way.
Through the ups and downs, it's been a wild ride. And I got to be totally honest with you. Talking about this.
Oh, I can cut away.
I'm tearing up a bit.
I understand. You had spit in your hand before.
What? No, that's different. I'm sick, so.
Let me taste it.
Okay.
No, I'm good. I don't want to take this bit any farther than what it's got. That's spit.
Yeah, if we got up and shook hands. Now I'm rubbing spit all over my face.
I don't want to shake your hand.
Well, let's virtually shake hands
Yes.
then. It's amazing how much spit smells like shit.
That's why it rhymes.
Good run, buddy. Yeah. Best of luck in the future. Let's keep in touch.
Absolutely.
You can still do segments here. We can still have you on the show.
I think that's besides my non-compete. So that might be, but when that...
Wait, you have a non-compete with Sam Hyde?
I'm just kidding.
Fuck, that would have pissed me off. Because I don't have a non-compete.
That's true.
Obviously.
That's true.
But yeah, let's keep in touch.
We will.
Best of luck going out there.
Thank you.
Might see you when you come back to visit your fucking grandparents and all that shit.
Yes.
But exciting new chapter for you. I saw your home. Don't show it, I guess. People would.
Right.
But it's a beautiful old... timey wood house.
Yeah.
Lots of wood.
Tons of wood.
Looks so much better for the kids than growing up in an apartment.
A yard?
An urban life, a big yard. An urban life is nowhere for a kid to grow up.
I agree. We can plant a garden. We can, there's food that we can grow.
Watch out for those fucking elegant rats.
Might be able
those
to
deer.
keep chicken. That's what was the goal always. When I think about
chicken, you got to watch out for those fucking bears and coyotes. Huh? You got to build a brick shit house.
We're going to build a brick shit house where the chickens will be safe. You're not even going to believe it.
Okay, I guess we're done here.
Yes.
Underground, buried well, lie the roots under the tree, yeah.
Is this the highs and lows?
It is.
It's got like 10 songs in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of different aspects of the song. It's only got one chorus, I think. I re-listened to it to be like, how would this sound if I was not me? And I was like, oh, this sucks.
All right, well, you might as well fade out on that then.
Yes. I thought we did already, so let me pull it back up.
Oh.
My bad. Here we go. The song starts 1 minute and 24 seconds in.
I know. Doesn't make sense. Passing through the days where I couldn't care less if anyone saved me. Now I see we see the same way. But I never would have met you, never would have seen your face if I knew that you'd bring us to this place. It was no one's fault, but now we're both to blame. But you can't take my love if I can't take your word. Taking all the time that I can afford, and I'm not.
So, if you enjoyed that clip,
then subscribe to Compound Censored using this promo code.